The vast emptiness of space held secrets, and humanity was about to uncover one of its most remarkable chapters. The United Earth Space Command had been struggling for years, constantly overlooked and underestimated by older, more established galactic civilizations. Hyun Park sat in the dimly lit research facility, her fingers tracing the holographic projections of experimental combat insertion technologies. Around her, a team of brilliant engineers and military strategists worked tirelessly, driven by a singular mission: to prove that humans were more than just another young species in the cosmic playground. The project was born from desperation. Earth's colonies were constantly under threat from more advanced alien races who viewed humans as insignificant. Traditional military strategies had failed repeatedly. The Krell Confederation had already decimated 3 human outpost planets. Believing humanity to be nothing more than a technological infant, Jae Kim, the lead engineer, was different from most researchers. Where others saw limitations, he saw opportunities. His latest design challenged everything known about military insertions. The concept was simple yet radical: a combat deployment method that would turn human fragility into an unexpected strength. "We're going to make them drop from orbital heights," Jay explained to Captain Park one late night. The other researchers thought he was crazy. Dropping soldiers from such extreme heights would typically turn any living being into nothing more than a fine mist. But Jay had discovered something extraordinary. By developing nano-adaptive material with quantum-stabilized, inertial dampeners, he could create a suit that would absorb and redistribute kinetic energy in ways no one had ever imagined. The suit would essentially turn human soldiers into living missiles, capable of surviving impacts that would destroy conventional military equipment. Captain Park understood the potential immediately. Humanity had always been underestimated, but they had something other species lacked: an incredible capacity for risk and innovation. Where others calculated, humans would improvise. Where others feared, humans would challenge the impossible. The initial prototypes were met with skepticism. Military leaders argued it was suicide. Alien intelligence reports consistently described the concept as mathematically improbable and biologically impossible. But Hyun Park and Jae Kim knew better. Weeks of testing followed. Hundreds of simulations, thousands of computational models, and dozens of prototype suits. Each failure brought them closer to success. The team worked around the clock, fueled by coffee, determination, and a burning desire to prove their worth. Their first actual test would change everything. A small team of volunteers, each wearing the experimental suits, would attempt an impossible descent through the atmosphere of a simulated combat zone. The entire research facility watched with bated breath. The moment the first soldier dropped, everything changed. Where conventional wisdom suggested instant death, the human instead navigated through atmospheric resistance with unprecedented control. The suit's nano-adaptive material shifted and responded, absorbing and redistributing energy in real time. Jay could hardly believe the data streaming across his monitors. Their calculations were working. The impossible was becoming possible. Captain Park saw more than just a technological breakthrough. She saw a statement about humanity itself. This wasn't just about military strategy. This was about proving that human potential knew no boundaries. Their willingness to take risks, to challenge fundamental assumptions, was their greatest weapon. The project was quickly classified. United Earth Space Command recognized its potential immediately. If successful, this could revolutionize not just military operations, but humanity's entire approach to interstellar conflict. They called it the Hot Drop, a name that captured both its dangerous nature and its explosive potential. No other species in the known galaxy had ever contemplated such a radical insertion method. It was quintessentially human, bold, innovative, and slightly crazy. As the first successful prototype descended through the simulated combat environment, Hyun Park and Jae Kim exchanged a look of triumph. They had done more than create a new military technology. They had created a symbol of human determination. The universe was about to learn that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. The Krell Confederation's massive battle cruiser hung like a metal mountain against the starry backdrop of Epsilon 9's orbit. Their commanders laughed at the incoming human fleet, a collection of what they considered to be little more than glorified transport vessels. Lieutenant Sujin Lee checked her combat suit one last time. The nano-adaptive material hummed with a soft electric charge almost alive beneath her touch. 12 soldiers stood around her, each one selected for their exceptional mental and physical capabilities. They weren't just soldiers. They were the first true test of humanity's most daring military innovation. The Krell communication channels were filled with mocking transmissions. Their reptilian commanders broadcast open communications, believing the humans couldn't understand their complex language. "Look at these small creatures," one commander hissed, "preparing to commit mass suicide." Inside the human dropship, Lee remained calm. Her eyes scanned the tactical display, tracking the planetary approach. Epsilon 9 was a critical mining world, rich with rare minerals that both humans and Krell desperately wanted. Traditional negotiations had failed, and now only military intervention remained. "Hot drop sequence initiated," the ship's computer announced in a calm, mechanical voice. The first wave of dropships detached from the main vessel. To the Krell observers, it looked like a suicidal maneuver. No species could survive such a rapid descent through a planet's atmosphere. The ships dropped at speeds that would normally turn organic matter into plasma. Inside her suit, Sujin felt the incredible forces pressing against her body. The quantum-stabilized inertial dampeners worked perfectly, transforming what should have been a deadly descent into a controlled fall. Her heads-up display showed real-time data, atmospheric resistance, temperature, trajectory, all within acceptable parameters. The Krell battlecruiser's sensors went crazy. Their tracking systems couldn't comprehend what was happening. These small human vessels were dropping faster and more precisely than any known military technology. No shields, no traditional landing procedures, just pure, calculated descent. "Impossible," muttered a Krell communications officer, his scaled fingers dancing across alien control panels. Lee's team was about to prove just how possible the impossible could be. As they approached the planetary surface, the dropships began to separate. Each soldier's suit adjusted microsecond by microsecond, calculating and recalculating the perfect landing trajectory. Where other species would require massive landing zones and elaborate preparation, these humans were turning the entire planet into their battlefield. The first suit touched down, then another, then another. Each landing was precise, almost surgical. The nano-adaptive material absorbed the incredible kinetic energy, allowing the soldiers to move immediately upon impact. No recovery time, no disorientation, just instant, deadly efficiency. Krell ground defenses had been prepared for a traditional assault. They had fortified positions, advanced weapon systems, intricate defensive networks. None of these mattered against an insertion method they couldn't predict or defend against. Lee's team moved with liquid precision. Their suits allowed them to navigate terrain that would have been impossible for conventional soldiers. Rocky surfaces, steep cliff faces, treacherous valleys, all became potential attack routes. The first Krell defensive position fell within minutes. Their commanders watched in shock as human soldiers literally appeared from nowhere, striking with a speed and precision that defied all known military tactics. Communications between Krell command centers became increasingly panicked. How are they surviving? Where are they coming from? This is impossible. But for the humans, it was becoming very possible. Lieutenant Sujin Lee's voice remained steady as she coordinated the assault. "Objective secured," she reported simply, as if describing a routine training exercise. The hot drop was no longer a theory, it was a devastating reality. Humanity had just changed the rules of interstellar warfare forever. The research facility buzzed with excitement. Engineers and scientists gathered around holographic displays, analyzing every millisecond of the Epsilon 9 mission data. J. Kim stood at the center, his fingers dancing across complex computational models that seemed to defy the laws of physics. What made the hot drop technology truly revolutionary was its microscopic engineering. Each combat suit contained billions of adaptive nanostructures that could redistribute kinetic energy in ways previously thought impossible. Where traditional physics suggested total destruction, human innovation found a solution. During the IC mission, each soldier's suit had performed beyond wildest expectations. The quantum-stabilized inertial dampeners had transformed a potentially fatal descent into a controlled, precise insertion. No other species in the known galaxy had ever conceived such a technological marvel. Krell observation posts continued to analyze the recorded data. Their top scientists were completely baffled. The human suits had absorbed impact forces that should have turned organic matter into liquid. Instead, the soldiers moved with perfect coordination, as if they had simply stepped off a standard transport vehicle. It's not just about survival, Jay explained to a group of military strategists. It's about turning what should be a fatal weakness into an unprecedented strength. The suits worked through a complex system of adaptive materials. Millions of microscopic sensors would activate milliseconds before impact, creating a network of energy distribution that spread potentially destructive forces across the entire suit. What would crush a normal being became nothing more than a mild vibration. Lieutenant Sujin Lee became an instant legend within military circles. Her team's performance during the Epsilon 9 mission had transformed the hot drop from a theoretical concept into a practical combat strategy. Other military units began requesting transfer to the experimental program. Detailed analysis showed that the suits could withstand descents from orbital heights that previously would have been considered certain death. Temperatures that would melt conventional materials became manageable. Gravitational forces that would crush bones became nothing more than a mild pressure. The Krell Confederation demanded explanations. Their diplomatic channels flooded with requests for technical information, hoping to understand how humans had achieved such an impossible technological breakthrough. But humanity remained silent, enjoying their newfound strategic advantage. Military strategists realized they had discovered more than just a new insertion method. This was a complete reimagining of combat deployment. Traditional landing zones became obsolete. Any point on a planetary surface could now become a potential drop zone. Training programs were quickly modified. Soldiers underwent intense preparation, learning to use the new suit's incredible capabilities. Psychological conditioning became as important as physical training. These weren't just soldiers anymore. They were living weapons capable of doing the impossible. The suit's capabilities went beyond simple impact absorption. Advanced cooling systems allowed operation in extreme temperatures. Adaptive camouflage technology could change the suit's appearance to match surrounding terrain in milliseconds. Communication systems could operate through interference that would block conventional equipment. J. Kim knew they had only scratched the surface of what was possible. Each mission would provide more data, more opportunities for improvement. The hot drop was not a finished technology, but a constantly evolving concept. Alien intelligence agencies worked overtime, trying to understand the human breakthrough. Their reports were filled with confusion and grudging respect. How could a species so young develop something so revolutionary? The answer was simple. Human creativity knew no bounds. Where others saw limitations, humans saw opportunities. The hot drop was more than a technological achievement. It was a statement about human potential. Military commanders from other species began to look at humanity differently. No longer were they a young, inexperienced civilization to be overlooked. They had become a force to be respected, feared, and carefully watched. Lieutenant Lee's team became living legends. Their mission had proven that the impossible was just a matter of perspective. With the right technology, with human innovation, even the most ridiculous concept could become reality. The universe was about to learn that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. The planet Epsilon 9 burned beneath an angry sky. Smoke and debris scattered across rocky terrain, marking the battlefield where humanity would change interstellar warfare forever. Captain Hyun Park watched the mission unfold from the command ship. Her fingers traced holographic displays showing real-time tactical information. Lieutenant Sujin Lee's squad was about to demonstrate why humans were becoming a force to be feared. The Krell had fortified their most critical positions. Massive energy shields protected strategic mineral extraction facilities. Automated defense systems covered every possible approach. They believed themselves untouchable. They were wrong. 12 human soldiers dropped from orbital heights that would have killed any other species. Their nano-adaptive suits transformed potential destruction into precise movement. Where traditional military doctrine suggested impossible, these soldiers proved otherwise. Lee's team hit the ground like living missiles. Their suits absorbed incredible kinetic energy, allowing instant combat readiness. No recovery time, no disorientation, just pure, calculated violence. The first Krell defensive position collapsed within minutes. Their automated weapon systems couldn't track the human soldiers' unpredictable movements. Each drop point became a potential attack vector. Traditional military strategies meant nothing here. Target neutralized, Lee's calm voice reported through communication channels. Krell commanders watched in horror. Their most advanced defensive networks were being systematically dismantled by a small human team that seemed to appear and disappear like ghosts. One Krell strategic officer screamed into his communication device, "How are they surviving? This is impossible." But for humans, impossible was just another challenge to overcome. The battlefield became a dance of technological innovation. Human soldiers moved through terrain that would have stopped conventional military units. Steep cliff faces, radioactive zones, areas with extreme gravitational variations. Nothing remained a barrier. Each soldier's suit communicated in a complex network, sharing tactical information faster than any traditional communication system. They moved as a single organism, adapting and responding to battlefield conditions in milliseconds. Mineral extraction facilities that the Krell considered impenetrable fell one by one. The humans didn't just attack, they transformed warfare itself. No landing zones required, no massive troop transport ships, just precise, devastating insertions. Captain Park's tactical genius became evident in every moment of the operation. She had designed an approach that turned human limitations into unexpected strengths. Where other species calculated risks, humans simply redefined them. Lieutenant Lee's squad demonstrated why humanity was becoming a significant galactic power. They weren't just soldiers, they were living proof of human potential. Each movement, each tactical decision challenged everything known about military engagement. The Krell's communication channels became increasingly desperate. Their defensive positions crumbled faster than they could respond. Traditional sensors couldn't track these human soldiers. They seemed to materialize from nowhere, strike with incredible precision, and vanish just as quickly. By the operation's end, the entire Epsilon 9 facility had been neutralized. The Krell lost over 80% of their strategic positions within hours. A small human team had accomplished what would have required thousands of conventional troops. When the dust settled, the message was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage. No longer would they be considered a young, inexperienced species. They had become a military force that demanded respect. Lieutenant Lee stood amid the smoking ruins, her suit's adaptive camouflage blending with the destroyed landscape. Another mission completed. Another impossible task accomplished. The universe was watching, and humanity had just shown exactly what they were capable of achieving. The Interstellar Military Council chamber fell silent when Captain Hyun Park began her presentation. Representatives from dozens of alien civilizations watched with a mixture of fear and grudging respect. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing the detailed analysis of the Epsilon 9 mission. Each image told a story of human innovation that challenged everything known about military strategy. The hot drop was no longer a theory. It was a devastating reality. "We have changed warfare forever," Park stated simply, her voice calm and matter-of-fact. Alien delegates shifted uncomfortably. The Krell representatives looked particularly uncomfortable, their scaled skin showing visible signs of tension. They had been humiliated, their most advanced defensive systems rendered completely ineffective by a small human team. Jae Kim stood beside Park, the engineer responsible for the technological breakthrough that had transformed military doctrine. His presentation broke down the complex nano-adaptive suit technology in ways that both impressed and terrified the assembled representatives. The quantum-stabilized inertial dampeners were just the beginning. Each suit represented a complete reimagining of combat technology. Adaptive materials that could redistribute kinetic energy, communication systems that could operate through impossible interference, camouflage technologies that made traditional detection methods obsolete. Representatives from the Zorn Confederation studied the data with intense concentration. Their military strategists had always considered humans a minor species. Now they were reconsidering everything they knew. "This changes everything," muttered a senior Zorn military advisor, his multiple eyes scanning the detailed mission reports. The economic implications were just as significant as the military ones. Planetary invasions that would have previously required massive troop deployments could now be accomplished by small, highly specialized teams. The cost-effectiveness was revolutionary. Lieutenant Sujin Lee stood at the back of the chamber, watching the presentation. Her team had become living legends overnight. They were no longer just soldiers. They were proof of human potential. Alien intelligence agencies worked overtime, trying to understand how humans had achieved such a technological leap. Their reports were filled with a mixture of scientific curiosity and strategic concern. A young species had just demonstrated capabilities that took other civilizations centuries to develop. The presentation continued. Each slide showed another impossible achievement: descent rates that defied known physical limitations, survival in environments that would destroy conventional military equipment, tactical mobility that transformed entire concepts of planetary warfare. Most impressive was the human approach. Where other species saw limitations, humans saw opportunities. The hot drop was more than a technology. It was a philosophy of innovation. Military academies across different civilizations began studying the human approach. Training programs were being redesigned. Defensive strategies were being completely reconsidered. The entire concept of planetary defense had been challenged. Captain Park concluded her presentation with a simple statement that sent a clear message to the entire galactic community. Humanity is here, and we are not to be underestimated. The chamber remained silent for several moments. The implications were clear. The balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted dramatically. Diplomatic channels would be busy in the coming weeks. Every major civilization would be analyzing the data, trying to understand how humans had achieved such a remarkable technological breakthrough. Some would attempt to copy the technology. Others would seek diplomatic solutions. But one thing was certain: the universe had just been reminded that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. Lieutenant Lee caught Park's eye and offered a slight smile. They had done more than win a battle. They had changed the course of galactic history. The presentation ended. The future had begun.